So let's move on. Where economists, business executives, investment analysts, and many others are still swarming over macro statistics, reform policies and actions of the Nigerian government, looking to forecast what the outcome would be in the new year. We're just underway. Dr. Ayodele is an investment executive, a market professional, and the team lead for the RCCG Christchurch 2026 Economic Summit. Dr. Ebo joins me for a brief chat with his outlook on the economy and the summit. Good evening. Good to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. First time in the new year, I guess.
Yeah,
it's good. The year's just getting started. How much of the unfinished economic reforms of 2025 should be on the front burner, or should be expected to be on the front burner for the new year?
Okay, I think we have quite a few. If we look at the fiscal consolidation, which has to do with the revenue of the government, how government can further reduce the leakages and increase revenue. So we saw that, yes, there was an increase in non-oil revenue, but we still saw that gap that's based on the actual relative to the performance based from what the minister said, about 65%. So there's a need to improve on that. Also, if we look at the exchange rate reforms, we've enjoyed the stability, and there's a need to consolidate on that, because it's always very easy to dampen confidence. So there's a need to intensify supply. We saw a bit of depreciation at the beginning of this year, but that should just be sustained within this tight band. Also, when you look at the power reforms, there's a lot going on within that space that we are not yet seeing the results. Multiple grid failure that we saw last year, so we think that should also be intensified. So looking at that holistically on the monetary front, we think that policies around the lending rate is still very high, which means that for businesses will still continue to struggle. Given, I know that they need to balance between getting the foreign investors, making it attractive for stable exchange rate, but businesses too also need to survive.
Interesting times, as it were, and I say interesting tentatively because, again, what we have on the street is that, look, there's a stability in the macros, as it were, but the finance minister said, well, this is a consolidation, this is a stabilization phase we're entering. So if you had to give me a short list of economic trends to watch out for this year, what would they be, and how impactful do you think this will be on investment and the markets?
Okay, thanks. I think the first one is we look at inflation rate. Yes, why we think it's been moderating. Won't go into the different changes that we've seen, but we expect that we should see, if exchange rates remain very stable and we see improvement in government activities, we should see inflation rate taper, and that would also now help the MPC to see how they want to bring down rates. But you also see the gap that we have in the budget, which over 23 trillion naira budget deficit, which means that we expect that the first half of the year interest rate will remain high, because we've started seeing that at the primary market auction, government want to front load and get the funding that they need early so that they can be able to carry out some of their promises and meet their obligations. So interest rate will remain high in the first half, and we think that from the third to fourth quarter, we'll also see that taper like what we saw in 2025. And we look at for the some of the policy taxation, which when you look at a lot of Nigerians are still trying to understand how it will work, how it will impact them. So we think that yield on investment net yield would reduce. So because of the withholding tax that have been introduced, capital gain tax on gains on stocks, depending on the threshold where you fall. So those are some of the trends that we'll begin to see as we progress.
It's like, tax is going to be a major headline for the current year. And I've listened to a number of folks, and I know that these summits, economic and investment summits and conferences are still coming up in the new year. All of us trying to wrap our heads around what the new tax law is all about. So why are these summits and conferences or forum important when you bring in economists like yourself, folks in the market professionals, investment experts, business executives, sometimes those who are perhaps sometimes policymakers and business leaders, to say, look, this is why we're charting and we're digesting and dissecting government policies and actions, what we know and what we don't know, what we're clear about and what we're not clear about, put it together to help people make the right investment decisions, have a profitable year, as it were, because whether we like it or not, business have to move on, individuals' wealth has to be created and things like that.
Yeah, so we have identified that it's important that we empower the church and the society in general to be able to equip them with the tools to navigate some of these reforms that we're talking about. And that's part of why we think that it's also important that on Saturday, the 24th, that we'll be discussing again around navigating the tax system as well as investment opportunities. Because
why is everybody interested in tax, by the way? I'm sure you've got a lot of calls.
A lot of calls, and that's why we put that at the front burner and getting experts to come and discuss from different perspectives on Saturday. So, because it affects, you look at your investments, how can you be, you now have to be smart. You know, there's what we call tax avoidance, tax evadance. Yes. Evasion, rather. Yeah, so there's
one is being smart, the other is being...
so you have to see, so that you don't, there must be tax planning. You must see, because for some businesses, because part of what we're going to be discussing is looking at a lot of businesses that have been doing business in personal business name. There's advantage for you to go upgrade to limited. And these are some of the things that tax calculator is also part of what we plan to also give to the attendees, that they can be able to, when they're planning their businesses, optimizing their business is also very important to us. And the investment opportunities for individuals, for companies. Inflation is not always our friend. So how do you beat inflation? What are the safe investment opportunities that you also take advantage of?
You've got to deal with inflation, and then we'll deal with tax.
Yes.
Do you think the tax law, in a manner of speaking, has made what you call financial literacy become very imperative for everyone?
Exactly. It's now people need to understand it so that you don't just fall into the trap of that. So I think it's, like I said, for some of my friends, that the tax practitioner, this is now their time.
This is their season.
It's their season for them to be able to
tax consultancy. Exactly. I hope their consultancy rate hasn't gone up.
It will, because the demand has gone up. Most businesses won't bother themselves. We just engage consultants to help them manage and plan.
Yes, and then wade through all the whole thing. It's good be good to sit down to listen to all of you and find out. But how's the business and markets going out there to start the new year, by the way? I'm sure everyone is a little bit on edge as far as the tax is concerned. When it comes to tax, everybody's ears are up.
Yes, but money also has to be made for businesses. You focus on the opportunities. So you would even see that the market, despite the CGT for those that fall above the threshold, market has been very bullish. So people, you make the money from the market, then you also pay the tax. And for businesses, we also see it. You look at the business reports from the CBN. They are also very optimistic that we would see that businesses will do well in 2026.
Well, we all need to pay our tax. I'm a tax advocate. We all need to pay the right tax. The government needs it. It's an obligation. Yes. We've got to pay our tax.
Correct.
I agree, and I'm not that. I am very sure. So it's nice. We're going to listen to you. And others as well, and I wish you all the best.
Yeah, thank you
and
very
the rest
much.
of the team that you're putting together to further enlighten. We can over discuss this issue as a major policy headline for this year on tax implications for business and all of that, personal business and all of that. But all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for making the time to come.